Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion. Keeps taking soy milk, even though it occasionally loses you a run. That's life, dude, with the Princess Leia hair. GTMMJ9WE. The stats look fine, honestly. Little Loki is just, I mean, it's probably a little bit worse than okay, without ruffling anybody's feathers. I don't think Little Loki has huge fans out there. That'd be ironic, though, wouldn't it? If you were a big fan of a tiny item, how strange would that be? Anyway. That's life, man. Sometimes you go, last time I ate this chili pepper, it made me feel like I was having a heart attack. I wonder if it will do the same thing again. The human brain is just innately almost great. It's just shy of greatness, I think. Because in the end, we are still stupid. I think. Like, I had the situation, you know, Kate and I had some Korean barbecue, and oftentimes Korean barbecue, they'll serve you, like, some raw hot peppers alongside of it. Sometimes they're, like, Korean-style hot peppers that are called gochu. Sometimes they just, you know, they skimp and they use jalapenos, or, you know, those are more readily available or whatever. When I was in Korea, I would just take a big old bite of one. Sometimes it was just kind of bitter, or even a little fruity and nice. Sometimes you got one of the nuclear ones, and it made you feel like your friggin' head was going to explode. Sure, let's take it. And it's led to some uncomfortable situations where I'm like, it's too spicy. They bring out water, I drink the water, and then I ask for more water, and I drink that water, and then I drink another glass of water, and now I got 1.5 liters of water in my stomach. And I'm like, I can't eat the barbecue anymore. Also, I think I'm gonna die. So Kate and I were at the event, or not at the event, at the barbecue place, and I was like, I wonder if these peppers are as hot as those peppers were, where 1 in 10 of them basically just made you want to die. So I ate one, and I had already finished my water, and let me tell you, it was not the hottest pepper I've ever had in my life, but it was hot. Why is the human brain so dumb? Why is my human brain so dumb? Also, why are some peppers inert, and some peppers are out of control? You get that with, like, nachos that have jalapenos on them all the time. Some of the jalapenos are, like, you know, nothing to complain about. Just a nice little accoutrement. Some of them are horrendous. We have the D Infinity, by the way. It's actually not the D12. Which is good. I would say that's a positive thing. I am a guy who likes spicy food. Not just to appear like I'm more of a man, but you know, if you give me the scale, it goes like mild, medium, hot, extreme. I'm in the hot camp. I used to be a medium guy, and I think there's nothing wrong with medium. But hot, I think it makes it a little bit more enjoyable. It really is, it's like playing God of War on the 3rd difficulty setting, you know? Just makes the experience of lunch more interesting. I've eaten thousands of lunches, 2 lunches a day for 29 years. I'm just joking, I don't need 2 lunches a day. I thought if I slipped in something completely absurd and then played it straight, it would be very, very funny. But then I also thought about all the comments that I would get that are like, 2 lunches a day, and then I'd be like, I'm joking. And you'd be like, that was really funny. But for years, people would watch that video and I'd still get comments about it, and it's just not worth it the way that the content is digested. So I digress, okay? 1 lunch an hour for 29 years. 1 lunch a week for... Okay, so we're not going to do variations on the theme for that long, but you get the idea. Lemon Party. Man, I wish I'd saved that. I do want to use the D20, but, you know, for that? Yeah, okay, for that. That worked out okay. The other wrinkle to this story that makes it slightly funnier, and you're like, oh, that's what you were going for with the first anecdote? Hey, now, I tried. This is ideal. Was that Amazon was on my butt because I had to send them a headshot for Champions of Fire, because I'm a very glamorous individual. It's something that happens now and then, is the companies request that you send them a headshot. So I sent them a headshot, but I was like not happy about it. The lighting was terrible, and I looked in distress. And then on the website, they were like, we finally published the website, go check it out. They just used my YouTube avatar, and I was like, wow, that's probably the greatest own I've ever been a part of in my life, and it was on me. So, you know, they were like, we can't use this. This guy's hideous. Make him a cartoon. And I was like, now you get it. That's how it works. Alright. Spit it out there. Pop this down. Break them open. It's a tears upgrade at least in divorce papers. And you know what? We got a bone heart. And you know what? We just got 9 lives. So what are we going to do on top of that? Well, pick up any coins that are extremely valuable. That describes none of them. And then we re-rolled absolutely everything. We do have the D100. I will use it because we came by it honestly. It was our starting spacebar item on an Eden run. We had the chance to replace it with something that was bad. So we're in the right spot right now. We also might as well go to the shop. I mean, the more items we add, the more chances we have to get something truly great. And Buddy in a Box at half price is awesome. Could be anything. It could even be Buddy in a Box. So we'll do this last room. Then we'll move on. Well, we'll D100 inside of the item room. And then we're good to go. I get rattled. You would think, I know there's a, no, don't come this way. There's probably a certain art to it, you know? That you don't know how spicy a pepper's gonna be before you bite in. You know, it's roughly X 100,000 or even X million Scoville units. So you know, like, roughly where you're gonna be, but everyone's gonna be a little bit different because that's the nature of, you know, horticulture, right? I know a lot about horticulture, as I'm sure you can glean, because I have a bachelor's degree in biology. So I'm basically a veterinarian combined with a botanist, basically a chemist, of course, a doctor, definitely like a roughly a medical level doctor, cellular chemist as well, like the bachelor's degree in biology. You don't go work at Monsanto, you just make your own Monsanto. So, did I accidentally invent a form of soybean that has a higher fatty oil yield? Oopsie, I can't help myself. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's move on. Have I done that bit yet? Where, like, you might think that my degree from university is useless. And to that I would reply first, today me, tomorrow you. Right after that, what I would say is that it is not useless, but the biology part of it is useless, you know? And I've gone, oh, my bone heart. I've gone through this expression, or this reflection, I should say, many times as I've aged. I've come to the conclusion, you know, I learned a lot in college, and I learned a lot related to my subject matter of choice. All of that has gone by the wayside, but you know, you learn to be a responsible adult in college. You learn to manage your own finances. You learn to manage your own well-being and meals. You don't realize, if you're 17 right now and your parents cook like, you know, if you have 21 meals a week and your parents handle like 14 of them, you don't get it yet. That's not, it's just a natural part of the process of life. It's what college is built for, or at least that period. It's built to teach you stuff in the nerdy sense of the word, but also on top of that, you know, it's where you learn to, like, be an adult in a somewhat consequence-free environment. It's a very groovy combination, baby. Yeah, it's me, Austin. You learn how to play flip cup and beer pong and various other things as well, but I think about that sometimes, and you know, I've had conversations with other content creators, and I'm like, man, I'm so glad that, like, this whole YouTube thing didn't really exist until I was old enough to have been, like, forced to go through the necessary, well, I wouldn't say necessary, but, like, the rites of passage that you go through between, like, the ages of 18 and 22. Because, like, if I'd gotten into it right out of high school, I think, I'm not going to, you know, crap on anybody else. You know, we all got our own journey. But I think it leaves you a little bit deprived of some of the experiences of you know, more traditional adult life that are actually important, you know? Learning to clean, Learning to, you know, if you don't buy groceries, nobody's gonna come by and be like, here's your food. You know, you're just gonna not eat. And then you're gonna be really, really hungry. And then you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna go out and buy groceries. You know what's gonna happen next week? You're gonna buy them on time. Because you don't want to be hungry again. You know, you learn some important skills. I'm glad, at least for me. Now, if you had asked me when I was 17, I'd be like, put me on the YouTube track right now. My life's been hard enough. I graduated high school. It was easy. I used to pull that on my mom all the time, and to her credit, she let me get away with it, and she should not have. But, you know, she'd be like, do you want to get a job this summer? And I'd be like, I have a job. It's called getting straight A's in high school. I'm like, oh, that's cool. If my kid tries to, I think there's like a generational thing. You guys believe in that, like, you know, that switch between generations? My parents grew up relatively poor. They did well for themselves. When I was growing up, they were in the upper middle class. Ever since I've moved out, they drink wines that are older than 5 years. That should tell you where they're sitting now. You know, they're in a comfortable position. I'm happy for them. They worked really, really hard to get there. But they, you know, having grown up a little bit more on the deprived side, they provided me with more than I needed. And I think you'll rebuke this, but it's true. I'm very lucky I didn't grow up spoiled. I think part of it is because I spent a decent amount of time with my grandparents, who were like, oh, you want an apple, huh? Must be nice. But, you know, I'm lucky. They did a good job. They didn't spoil me too much. But when I think back, they definitely let me get away with, like, not working that hard and using academics as an excuse. And only I knew how easy it was to get straight A's in my high school. First off, you just show up for school 7 hours a day, which literally I have no choice. There's a big yellow car that comes and picks me up. And then secondly, you gotta pay attention in class. That might be hard now. Was not very hard between the years of 2002 and 2006. There were very little spread of cell phones. The cell phones you had were not smartphones. We only had very, very dumb phones. So your choices were like, I could play Snake under my desk and hope my teacher doesn't hear me, or I could just passively soak in all this knowledge for free. So I chose to passively soak in the knowledge. So that's step 2. Basically, just be there. Step 3 was like, they give you homework, just do it. And my only piece of advice for that is, when I was at my scholastic best, I did my homework as soon as I got home. I would definitely rather have school be an hour longer and have no homework than have school have a 4-hour break in the middle, but give you an hour of homework as well at the end. And that's basically the way I thought of it. Is I'd rather just, you know, I'm a little tired from being at school. I could definitely justify taking a break, but instead what I'm going to do is just knock it out. And then it's done, and if it takes less time than expected, sick. I got a long break. If it takes more time than expected, at least I started it early so I didn't, like, ruin my sleep or, like, not get it done. So it's like, if you, at least here, it was like if you show up, do your homework, you're going to be fine. So my parents let me get away with that. Now, I grew up in a very cushy environment. You might not be able to tell from the fact that I constantly make references to the fact that my favorite movie when I was 16 was The Graduate. Hey, easy there, buddy. But yeah, it was a little, I'm trying to think of what the right word was. I really wasn't, like, super spoiled. My parents have never bought me a car. Let's just put it that way. You know, I've never been like, Dad, I wanted the 5 Series. You got me the 3 Series, you jerk. But, you know, now I'm in a pretty okay position. I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm not going to let my kids get away with anything. I'm going to be like, nah, I tried that. Trust me. It worked back in 1999. I don't know, I can't pronounce the number anymore, apparently. It turns to ash in my mouth when I remember it's almost 20 years ago. In 99, that strat worked. It won't work on me, mister. Your idiot father got straight A's in everything. Even gym. you're getting that summer job. But Dad, the robots took all the low level. Yeah, well then just build yourself a robot, sonny. Here's my C++ textbook from 2014. Go teach yourself. Dad, only dinosaurs use C++. Okay, Mr. JavaScript, new framework every 10 seconds. Well, you call me when you learn what a constant immutable array is. I don't know what. I'm John Travolta now, but now I'm Woody Allen or something. I can't really understand what's happening with the context of this joke. You get the idea. I think if you're a parent, you have an obligation to be supportive of your child, absolutely, you know, but to also not let them ever get away with anything. Except for the stuff that, you know, they should be getting away with, you know? What is the stuff they should be getting away with? I don't know. My parents, this is the nerdiest thing I'll ever admit about myself, except for like 90 other things I've ever admitted about myself. You know what I got in trouble for the most as a kid? I would read after my bedtime. I know, I was pretty rebellious. So I would like, you know, it's like 9 p.m. and I'm 9 years old. Because your bedtime is equal to your age. When you're 6, you go to bed just after the news. And then when you're 25, you go to bed at 1 a.m. It's the circle of life. My parents would be like, it's bedtime. And I'd be like, all right. Woo, woo. And under the covers, I'm reading in like almost darkness. You wonder why my eyes are bad now. My parents would come in and they'd be like, stop reading and go to bed. And I'm like, man, you're behind the times, Gramps. These books are gonna take off, I promise. Everyone's gonna know how to read. And I was just like, you know, again, it was like, I had a Game Boy, but come on, I didn't live on a AA battery factory. Roll me. Yo, what did we do here? Our speed is through the roof. I don't know where I was going with that story, but it's a genuine, real story. It's a sincere story. Am I gonna open that? Sure, why not? I mean, we got D100 access. We got spun. We're just, like, looking pretty solid right now. I don't know why. That guy looked like he was taking shots from the front. It's a rarity. Why? And I'm being sincere yet again. Almost as if it's like a recurring thing. That was not very smart. Why is it that every time we press the space bar, what on earth? We're getting like 20 things spawning? So many consumables, and I don't understand why. Not that this is a complaint, more just confused. I saw just a heinous video. It's the kind of video that can make you hate a 12-year-old child. Like, genuinely, like, I hate him as much as I hate, like, Emperor Palpatine. Do you see the video? Is of, like, this 35, 40-year-old man is, he's like he's sizing himself up basically against the 12-year-old. The 12-year-old step into him. And at first you're like, what's wrong with this 45-year-old dude? He's actually going to end up fighting the 12-year-old. But all he does is he calls like his sister and goes like, hey, your kid's being a real piece of garbage. And the kid is just cursing him out and like, it's comical. Because like, I remember what it was like to be 12. And you're like, yeah, I could probably take on a full-grown adult. No, even the ones that are terribly out of shape would probably destroy you. It's just like it's a hormonal advantage, I firmly believe. This was like a 5'0" 12-year-old child. He probably weighed about 80 pounds. The other dude did not look like a UFC fighter, but I'm pretty sure he could have picked him up with one hand. Coincidentally, later in the video, he picks him up with one hand and like effortlessly throws him to the ground. And the kid's been talking a lot of smack. As soon as he gets thrown to the ground, he goes, "Whee!" And he starts crying. And now, I do want to point out, I don't think... dude who pushed this kid to the ground did not make a smart decision, but he also exercised restraint for a long, long time, dealing with a kid who was a real piece of garbage. You can watch the video for yourself if you think I'm being too hard on this child. If anything, I think I'm being a little bit too easy. I gotta meet this kid's family and just, like, live with them for a week and do whatever the opposite of what they did was. Maybe they've truly given birth to the spawn of the Antichrist, and, like, this is not their fault, but I think the odds are they probably messed up somewhere down the line, and we all owe it to planet Earth to never let this happen again. This kid was insufferable. Go search it on Twitter. 12-year-old kid gets choke slammed. Something like that. At first I was like, well, when the kid started to cry, I sort of felt bad. This is all true, by the way. None of this is exaggerated. Again, if anything, it might actually be like a little muted relative to the video will infuriate any sane person on planet Earth. Anyway, so the kid started to cry, and you're like, well, you know, I understand. He's in that awkward phase in between being a boy and being a man, and he's got all these confusing, you know, hormones pulsing through his body, and he's like, I want to fight this guy, but he doesn't yet possess the wisdom to know that that's incredibly dumb and stupid, and then finally, like, he gets what he wants, which is a physical altercation, and then it reveals that he is, in fact, a child. And that's kind of sad, is that, you know, it's a necessary part of growing up to figure out where you stand, I suppose. And as a 12-year-old, if you pick a fight with a grown man that's stupid enough to choke slam a 12-year-old, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt. That's neither a threat nor a promise. It's just a very sensible observation, I think. Yo, we're not going to make boss rush, so let's just pull out of this real quick. Oh, no, that's good. That's what we wanted. But then I said there was like an after video, and I was like, this is the gift that keeps giving. It never ends. So there's an after video, and the teacher, who has obviously dealt with this kid for a long time, because there is no moment where she's sympathetic, which is so good and also extremely telling, I think. She's like, well, you're getting in his face, and he tells her to shut up, and he calls her the W word. And I don't know, you might be able to get away with it on YouTube. I'm just trying. These are getting teenager and up anyway every single time. So I'll tell you what, you know. He calls her a whore. He says, shut up, you whore. That's not okay. That's when I was like, this kid is beyond redemption. He had that moment where he could have come back from it. Reroll me. If he had been chokeslammed and he got up and was like, I'm so sorry for the way that I've acted. This was a great moment and opportunity for me to reflect on the actions I've taken and the way that they affect the people around me. I've decided I was being kind of a piece of garbage, and now I'm ready to engage with you as equals and pay you the respect you deserve. You would be like, you know what? That's a feel-good story. Infuriating, but a feel-good story. When he got up and called his teacher a whore, I was like, oh my lord. I can't believe how bad you have to be as a human being to make me hate you when you're also a child. There's quite a lot of justice involved. I'll admit, you know, again, I don't think the adult in the situation made a very smart decision by physically engaging with an adolescent. However, at the same time, the kid was getting physically threatening. And I don't know, like, I guess you gotta put yourself in the adult's shoes to some extent. If you got this kid, he's being super aggressive, you've given him, like, you know, 10 minutes to cool down, he's still getting up in your face and threatening to beat you up. At some point, you know, there is a case for self-defense, I think. He's not going around, like, beating up on a 12-year-old willy-nilly. It's a situation where the kid is like, you know, I'm gonna take you down. You never know, you know. I feel like a grown man should have like a 98% chance of beating a 12-year-old in a fight, but if he catches you in the face, he could knock you out, you know. It's, you ever see, like, people do a backflip, they get knocked out accidentally. It can happen. I actually don't think it'll generate items for us here. So yeah, that was... Man, I would recommend watching, at least, like, skipping through that video, because it's, like, the greatest treatise of our times on why you should be kind of a jerk to your kids. Not a real jerk. You shouldn't, you know, hey, what you eating there, ice cream? Oh, looks like it's on the ground. Wah, that's life. You know, that's a great way to raise just basically a sociopath. But you gotta, when your kid's like, Dad, I want ice cream, you idiot. You gotta be like, I need to stop this douchebag egg from cracking. So if I don't do something, pretty soon this guy's gonna be a high school gym teacher and the reign of terror will never end. That's needlessly insulting the high school gym teachers, but some profession had to be the butt of the joke, okay? Don't take it the wrong way. I had a great teacher for gym in high school. His name was gymnastics. That's not true. His name was Dale Nastics. It's not even funny. Don't laugh at that. You have an obligation to keep the unfunny egg from cracking. That would be a great name for a combination stand-up comedy venue and brunch place. The Unfunny Egg. You wouldn't know what people wanted until they walked in the door, you know? What'll you have? But I'll have something different for a change. Some funny jokes. Oh, you're here for the comedy, I see. I'll tell you what, I'll have something different for a change. I'll have the runny yolks. Very good, sir. You're usually over medium, which we're happy to oblige, because we want to keep our high TripAdvisor rating. That one was almost clever, and that's with a capital A. So, somewhere, this run got, like, actually very good. We're at that point of resilience where, like, no matter what happens on a roll, we tend to find ourselves in a great spot. We're, like, a retired 30-year-old. Like, nothing happens when we roll that has any effect on us. If we take damage, we don't care. We're like, I'm gonna be good. We got no problems. We could run into trouble if we don't get a reroll on the full run anytime soon. I mean, we take a lot of damage in the process, because we did reroll ourselves, unfortunately, into, well, you should pop that then. Yeah, we seem like we're probably gonna be good. We rerolled ourselves, unfortunately, into an Isaac's Heart situation. Isaac's Heart is just horrible. Is it Libra? I have no idea what that was. Oh, we have Bloody Penny as well, so. Once Isaac's Heart is gone, it's going to take a lot to take me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I don't even want to fight the mini-boss. Like, I'm trying to purge that last loss from our memory. We've taken the Zane on full force here, and we're good to go. I do think, I will say, it's a lot easier, I'm sure, to talk about being a good parent than to be a good parent. Non-parents are very unkind to parents in a lot of situations that I think is unfair. And I've done this before, but I want to reiterate just in case you didn't see episode 175 or 511, okay? I saw it because I was on an airplane, and this baby started crying, and the people that were in the same row as me were, like, looking back with this look on their face, like, at the mother of the baby. Like, come on. What are you supposed to do? It's a baby. If they could get the baby to shut up, you don't think they would... They're not going on the plane and slapping the baby on the face a couple of times and going, yeah, that's more like it. That's the song of my people. You know, they're getting on the plane and they're freaking out. They're like, I really hope the baby doesn't cry. Which is what babies do. I've had this conversation with my chat a few times, too. It's a very, like... I used to be like this. It's a very young person's idea. You know, if you're on an airplane and a baby starts crying, they're like, there should be a babies-only airline. Well, that's just... There's no world in which that's economically feasible. Plus, if one of them ever went down, it would be the worst tragedy of all time. You know, as it is right now, plane crashes don't happen that often, but when one goes down, there's usually like, oh, there was a middle school band on the airplane, and everyone goes, oh, it's very sad. You know, the adults, whatever, they had their chance. That's not tragic at all. The kids, on the other hand, they were just in the prime of their life, you know? Weren't even paying their taxes yet. Real loss for the nation. Imagine if a plane full of babies went down. How would you feel then about baby air? That's why we gotta spread the... I'm trying to think of the word that would fit here and not be gross. We gotta spread the babies out, so they're not all on one airline. It's like, you know, the people with the two halves of the Coke recipe never fly together. It'd be devastating, right? The Koch brothers, as they call them, I believe. The second thing is, like, just get over it. It's, you know, I've flown like 200 times in my life. It's not a big deal if there's a baby on your flight. It's a huge deal if, like, you know, your window cracks and you get half sucked out the window. That's when you could be like, come on. I didn't pay for this. Is that a current event? Yeah, well, sort of. Not so much current. Event, yes. Hey, stop that. We need to go back, dude. Otherwise, we're gonna actually die. Because we need our full run reroll. It's an inconvenience, but, like, the baby, it didn't make the choice to be on the airplane. That's like, if there was an adult on the airplane with a cold, you would probably be like, well, he's gotta go somewhere. You know, that's not fair. The baby didn't choose. Moreover, some people are like, you know, well, what is the baby doing? Does the baby have important business? Well, maybe, you know, they're flying out their spawn to see, you know, the people whose genes they've inherited in the grandparent sense. Why don't the grandparents just come to them? Why don't you deal with a mild inconvenience for 2.5 hours with your headphones in? This person has a life that they're taking care of that's flimsy. He's trying to eat the seatbelt. Just cut him some slack and be a human being, you weirdo. Oh no, I can't watch the movie. I don't even like that much on a 4.5-inch screen in peace because there's a baby. Just relax, okay? So this one, it goes out to all you, you know, new parents who are flying with infants and not getting any friggin' respect, okay? This one goes out to you. I know how it is. Well, I don't know how it is, but I'm imagining how it is. I think the way that people... Oh, no. I respawned. Let's go. The way that people imagine it happening is like, you know, all the new parents get together. We'll put all of our crying babies on the same flight. We'll deprive them of their biological needs. As soon as we land, we'll go right back into the air again to maximize the baby annoyance. You know, you deal with annoyances at all times in your life. It's not that big of a deal. Dude, we are screwed, by the way. What's a boy to do in this situation? I got a couple of ideas. One is secret room access. That's not good. The other one is, you know, we're probably better off... Holy crap. Fighting 2 Monstro 2s than we are fighting 2 adversaries. That's abundantly clear. We're just going to use bombs. We're going to re-roll our whole run, and we're going to be... Fine is maybe a loaded word. You know what annoys me way more than babies at the airport? And this is... I'm turning it around on you guys, aka my paying audience that allows me to subsist and keep doing this, but it's important. Oh, come on. It's important, okay? People who line up to get on the airplane 45 minutes before the airplane boarding is started. Oftentimes before the plane that they're about to board is even at the gate. They gotta get people off, they gotta clean it, they gotta restock the overpriced flatbreads, you know? Give them a minute. It says on your pass, unless you're flying Southwest, it says on your pass zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you look on your pass and it says zone 5, go to the bathroom, grab a drink or something. You're gonna be fine. They do not want to leave without you. For one, the letters that they would get would make your hair stand on end. Secondarily, it's a security risk. They literally will, like, try their darndest to not do it. You can just give up a little bit of control in your life and trust that these people whose job it is will be like, well, I know the ticket says leave at 8:30, but hey, we're here early, let's go. You know, it's literally never happened in the course of human existence. Hey, where's my flight? Oh yeah, they left. They didn't tell you? The pilot had a very important meeting later that day. By the way, I'm going to murder... Well, I'm going to murder this run. Let's keep it as nice as possible. I had almost killed both of them. It had cost me somewhere in the vicinity of 30 bombs. And they were not 30 clean bombs. They were 30 dirty bombs. Also love... Oh, no. No! On the airplane when a baby starts crying and people start looking around like, can you believe this? I'm like, yeah. I've flown a lot. There's usually a baby. People will say, well, you're just an idiot. People will say things like, just my luck. A baby on my flight. I'm like, that's not your luck. There's just a lot of babies. You think there was like one baby on planet Earth? And like if I got on a flight and there was former President Jimmy Carter, I'd be like, well, just my luck, this is Jimmy Carter. If there's a baby, I'd be like, yeah. Turns out, you know, there's still a few of those in the world. Anyway, I get way more annoyed when I get on an airplane. This is why I'm spoiled. Because, again, you got to turn it back on yourself, otherwise it just feels like punching down. Old man yells at cloud, etc., etc. I get really annoyed when I get on a plane and there's no seatback entertainment. They do the thing now that's like, get your smartphone and download our proprietary app. And I'm like, no, Mark Zuckerberg. I don't want to download your proprietary app to watch Paddington 2. I hear it's delightful, but some things are sacred. Man, if only... There's only one comical outcome for this, by the way, which is that we eventually make it out. But what happens after that is our full run reroll is just trash. I actually don't know if you can get worse than this, because this is 1 HP certain death. But you could probably have a situation that's almost as bad as this one. Whoa! That was not a good place to stand. He faked me out. I'm actually furious. So the only other thing I could think of, and I don't even think it'll work, is you use Golden Teleporter. But the problem with Golden Teleporter is that it's just going to take me to the most domesticated room that I have not yet been to. Which means, if I use it in this room, it'll take me to the room with the adversaries. And if I use it in the room with the adversaries, oh my god, it'll take me to this room. Neither of which appear to help the problem I'm presently having, in case you did not notice what was going on. Now, please trust me. I'm using all the tools at my disposal, I think. Genuinely, I'm like, maybe I should just try to use Hushy. But we can't use Hushy. Because we have, just be cool. We can't use Hushy. Because we have number 2. Holy crap, we did it. What are we working with now? This seems a trillion times better already. Why didn't I go back and pick up a Spirit Heart? What is wrong with me? I finally saw it, and I was like, yep, you are an idiot. Anyway, hey, breeds character or something, right? There you go. We have Holy Mantle now, so actually, like, we basically can't lose. And I know that I said that mere moments before complete oblivion was almost brought upon us. And yet, here I am. Having a good time. Having a good time. I'm not rerolling because I don't want to get another full run reroll, okay? I'll reroll if there's a trash item in my field of view. Apart from that, I'm tunnel visioned on having a chance of victory. And if you got a problem with that, well, that's the bottom line. Every now and then I get a little bit synergy from the infinity. That's not good. Please. Speed. I'll roll ya. What am I doing with it? This is the perfect microcosm on this run. And I got a Hagalaz rune on the chest. It's the only rune you could ever accurately describe as completely valueless. Get out of my face! That's my friend. Oh, that's how I react to my friends in real life, too. That was almost too real. Please. My run. It is very sick. We're free. We're so close to redemption. That was awesome. Get me out of this run. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. It helps a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.